Hi guys. I hope you hear me. Oh, everything looks so much different in here. But anyway, we got only 20 minutes, so I'll try to talk about our main topic, which is Webflow on scale. But first, before we start, I want to be on the same page with you, with understanding about what does it mean to build on scale. In my opinion, building on scale means building a lot, right? If we can build a lot of things and do many things at the same time, we can generally provide more services for the clients or build more websites like with Webflow. But yeah, Marcin, anyway, how can we do that? Let's go the step forward. If you want to build on scale, you have to build or do things quickly to deliver more. Using the ideal case would be using the same resources, right? Another step would be to improve processes. So figure out ways, have some tricks or artifacts that will allow you to do things quicker, hence deliver more, like I said previously, with the same resources. Okay, we generally, I hope, we know already what does it mean to build on scale, but let's hit that with Webflow. Webflow. Do we have some Webflowers here? Just raise your hands. Everybody who's using Webflow at least knows what's that. Thanks, guys. I'm not going to talk a lot about Webflow because, yeah, most of us already know what is that, or you can generally read the description online. I bet we can agree on one thing. Besides Webflow being the hosting as service platform that has also great content management systems, so CMS. It is mainly used by us, no-code developers, to build and deploy websites such as landing pages, business marketing sites, product catalogs, or portfolios for freelancers. Before I move forward, let me just say a few more words about me. Like Natalia just said a minute ago, I'm a product designer working in NetGuru. I'm also actively helping and supporting no-code practice, helping us build operations and improve the quality of our Webflow projects. I'm also a Webflow certified expert, working with Webflow for 5+ years. Other than that, I'm also a mentor and educator. And I know there's no chance for you to find any of my courses yet, but stay tuned. Okay, but who is it for? Let me just say a few words so you can decide if this is a good space for you or maybe you would like to go to another room. Generally, the topic which we're going to uncover today and talk about has the great value for 3 different users. You might generally be a developer or no-code developer and work for an agency or a software house. Then, when you do something like that and work in those companies, you might have some certain needs. Generally, what you want to do, you want to keep the consistent project standard. So it doesn't matter if your other colleagues will work on the similar projects, you want to be sure that every single project released by a company will have similar standards, right? Next thing, you might want to improve your frameworks or improve the general workflow to speed up the implementation, hence to deliver more and build on scale. And the third need would be to find out tricks and figure out and create the artifacts that will allow you to generally deliver more projects in the same time. Secondly, you might work for a product company. That might be a company that provides a digital product, or that might be any product. You might work for a car manufacturer. Let's put that as an example. Then, there are a lot of campaigns. You might generally release new features every quite some time, or you might release new products every some time. Then for the marketing campaigns, you obviously need landing pages. So one of your needs might be to skip some tasks and speed up the process of developing new landing pages. So you might want to create some framework and artifacts that will allow you to launch those landing pages quicker. Second one, for sure, I can assure you that you want to keep the brand consistency. So if you're working for a the organization of any size, sooner or later you will have a branding attached. So there are all sorts of rules that you want to keep to be sure that every viewer of your landing pages or website will have the same experience. And an additional need, and this relates to all the groups that I'm going to talk about, is to have one source of truth. And that will allow you to be sure that those projects will generally be consistent when it comes to structure, when it comes to standards, and when it comes to branding. And third case, generally any business. So if you have a website, and I bet most of the companies have a website, you might want to assure scalability. You might want to be sure that you can add new pages easily. And it makes sense sometimes to give that power for the marketing departments or for the sales departments. So generally, a lot of work can be done upfront, and then you might generally hand over your site and let marketing teams scale it and add new pages and so on. Of course, you want to be sure as well that the project will be well-structured, accessible, and organized in a good way. So you wouldn't have to think about all of the things that developers usually think about when they create new pages, because if you prepare your project and structure it correctly, most of the difficult job will be done right up front. Yeah, I have 3 solutions for you. I bet you might generally heard about some of those, but let me list them really quickly. The great artifacts that Webflow has generally on board, or that you can create in Webflow, are following. You can create a style guide page. You can use symbols or components that most of you generally know whenever you work with the design systems. And you can also create templates. Templates, that's a deep topic. And I'm not going to talk here about the templates that you can generally purchase on Webflow Marketplace, or you can get anywhere else. Those are going to be templates made by you. OK, style guide. What is style guide? Style guide is a page that you generally create at the beginning of working on a project. It is the place where you keep all main HTML tags like paragraphs, headings, links, quotes, and you name it. It is also a place where you can generally put all predefined global classes. So whenever you start working on a project, you prepare a set of styles for buttons, for forms, for, I don't know, vertical and horizontal spacing, paddings, margins, and rest. You can also prepare a set of backgrounds or prepare swatches that you can generally use throughout working on the project. And then you can also attach symbols that you think you will create and use throughout the project. But OK, how does style guide help? I just listed a few bullets, and I hope I'm going to talk about those ones, because all of the elements that I have in my presentation are pretty deep topics. So we're going to just go on the surface. And if you have any more questions later on, let me know. How it helps. Whenever you have the classes that land on your style guide page, you can be sure that generally making any changes that might come in the future, or if your company will go through the rebranding in the future as well, you can make those changes and implement those on this one single page. So instead of changing the color of your buttons, size of your fonts, and rest, you can jump straight to the style guide page and do everything there. And if you will generally create the project using consistent framework, and you will have that style guide page in the project, you can be sure that after changing those things, every other instance of elements throughout the rest of the pages will be changed as well. What else? Style guide page also helps you make a handover to other designers. Let's imagine that you are one of the no-code developers, you're building the project, you're preparing the style guide, and then suddenly either you had to hand over the project to the client, or you can hand it over to other team member. Then, whenever StyleGuide is on a place, they can jump into it and understand the project really quickly. So they can check all the elements that are used in the project, and they won't get lost. There's one extra thing, which is pretty amazing in my opinion. You can also turn this StyleGuide page into digital brand guidelines, which is really cool, because not only it will provide other developers the information about the project, it will provide the information about the structure, all the classes that you use throughout the project. It can have included rest of the elements of every single brand. So you can upload the logos there, you can upload all the colors, you can put more information about the typography, hierarchy, and rest, and publish this page with your project. So all the vendors of your client, if they need to prepare or print any new marketing materials, they can generally go to this page and get whatever they need, right? Second one, symbols or components. In design systems, we are creating components, so then those could be used whenever we want to launch new projects quicker. In Webflow, they are called symbols. And what are the symbols? Symbols are components, like I just said, with predefined classes or groups of the elements. You can generally follow the atomic approach and create the different symbols with different levels and with the different level of nesting inside of each other. Symbols could also be a clean layout. So let's say you can create the symbol of a section, and it will include not only the section element or div block that is called section, but you can put many more div blocks inside, putting box within a box within a box, and prepare a structure that you or your colleagues might generally use every time when you create a new section of a project. So let me try to rephrase that so it will be easier for you to imagine that. It's like you can create a symbol called section structure, and every time when you turn your design and implement that section, you will just drop a symbol which is called section structure, and voila, all the structure and all the boxes inside of each other are the same. So it will also help you keep the same structure within a project. Symbols could be everything. So I can generally talk 10-15 minutes about the symbols itself, but let me tell you how these elements, symbols help you. You can, when you will start creating the first symbols within a project and have already a group of those, it will drastically or dramatically improve the speed that you build your sites. So if you have 50 or 100 or even more symbols, it's like using the Lego blocks. So we'll just get them from the navigator, drop them on canvas, and generally most of the job is done. Symbols also allow non-developers create new pages. So like I said, whenever there's going to be a situation where you want to hand over your site to marketing teams or sales teams, they can use those pre-composed symbols and create new pages without generally hiring any more developers. Symbols also allow us to make changes quickly, similar way to the StyleGuide page. All elements that are wrapped within the symbol, most of the time, they have classes as well. So every time when you change one class, change the styling of a symbol, all its instances will change. And a good example of the good case for symbols are navigations or footers. So those are elements that you use on every single page throughout your project. So generally, you can create only one navigation, wrap it in a symbol, and then drop it on all pages. And then suddenly, whenever you need to add a new link or change something, you can change it in master symbol, and all the changes will be auto-populated on the rest of the pages. Templates. This is my favorite part. What are templates? Generally, every single project in Webflow could be turned into a template. That's a huge thing, really. Because what you can do whenever you think about improving your workflow, improving your framework, is start working on something internally, or you can have the commercial project as a base. Start preparing a style guide page. Put on the canvas or put in the style guide page all the most common used elements, like I previously mentioned, paragraphs, headings, some groups of elements. If you want to create a card or, I don't know, accordions of some sort for frequently asked questions, you can put those in the style guide page. And then when you have whole style guide page prepared already, you can quit your project, save it as a template, and use it as a starting point whenever you start working on a new project. So, as I hope you can imagine, whenever new or other team member will start creating a new project, they might start not from empty canvas, not from blank project, but they can use your previously prepared project with the style guide page prepared and start from this point. Another thing, how it also helps. So this is the easiest way to kick off the projects, and generally skip the few steps that you need to do at the beginning of every single project. So now imagine if you have to create, this is a slightly different case, if you're working for a product company and you are launching different landing pages quickly. You can generally create one landing page, save it as a template, and then reuse it every time when you have to launch a new landing page. So then the marketing team can only change the images, content, and deploy pages that one of your developer colleagues prepared previously. How to leverage that? Using those three different elements, style guide page, and symbols, and wrapping those in the templates, will help you create your own framework. So those are few examples of how you can use those elements. First, you can create the style guide page, save it as a template, as I just mentioned, and use it as a project starting point. Then you can use the same starting point, same project, add symbols to it, and save it as a separate template. So you have already two templates for different cases. Depends on what do you need in a specific case. Then you can create additional project, having all the symbols. So you can, if you have on board the design system, you can develop every single element from this design system, put it onto the project, save it as one template, and then reuse those depending on the case as well. And I can generally list more and more cases, but those are the most important ones. Let me do a quick recap, because there was already a lot of information. Like I said, we are just touching the surface, and there's not much time, because otherwise I would talk with, can introduce you to the topic deeper and deeper, and even 60 minutes won't be enough to touch upon one of those elements, but quick recap. Style guide, so this is the first solution. The purpose of using the style guide is to store all the styles and have an option to use those styles throughout the project and keep everything organized in one place. So then, if you need to change any of the styles, change a color or typography or you name it, you can do it from that one place. Symbols could be used like Lego blocks. I think this definition tells you enough. They will help you keep the consistency, both when it comes to structure or when it comes to grouping the elements and using those in the different places. And symbols, the best leverage of the best use of symbols is leveraging those and doing those only once and then reusing those over time. And then templates allows you to skip the tedious work, start from second or third step, and depends on how wide or how expanded your template will be, you can generally move to step number 3, 5, or even more. So you can generally, by the use of templates, you can deliver much more in the same amount of time. Yeah, I think that's it. If you have any more questions, because like I said, we just touched the surface, let me know. Here are the links to my LinkedIn, to my personal website, and to NetGuru as well. Thank you very much.